Before he ever drew breath, his life was marked by promise. Before his feet touched the dust of the earth, his path was already charted by heaven. In days when Philistine oppression cast a 40-year shadow over the land, a barren woman in the hill country of Dan received an unexpected visitor. The angel of the Lord appeared with words that carried both wonder and weight. Though she had never conceived, she was told she would bear a son. But this child would not belong to ordinary patterns. He was to be a Nazirite from birth, a man set apart entirely to God. The instructions were specific and severe. No razor would ever touch his head. No wine or strong drink would pass his lips. He was to walk a path of strict consecration. His destiny was written before he took his first steps. He would begin to deliver Israel from the heavy hand of the Philistines. When she told her husband, Manoah, they were overwhelmed. They prayed for the messenger to return, needing to know how to raise such a child. The angel appeared again, repeating the instructions. The calling was clear before the child ever cried his first cry. This boy's strength would not be for himself. It would serve a divine purpose. They named him Samson. As he grew, the Spirit of the Lord began to stir in him. The oppression of Israel was real. Philistine garrisons, foreign rule, the quiet humiliation of subjection. Yet Samson's life did not begin with armies or grand battles. It began with desire. He saw a Philistine woman in Timnah, and the sight captured him. He demanded that his parents arrange a marriage. They protested, heartbroken. "Is there no woman among your own people?" But Samson insisted. "Get her for me, for she looks good to me." Scripture hints that even this stubbornness was woven into a larger divine plan, seeking an occasion against the Philistines, though Samson himself seemed unaware of it. His impulses often led. Reflection rarely did. On the journey to Timnah, a young lion came roaring toward him near the vineyards. There were no weapons in his hands, no audience to witness what happened next. Suddenly, the Spirit of the Lord rushed upon him. Samson tore the lion apart with his bare hands as one might tear a young goat. The violence was absolute. Afterward, he continued on his way, telling no one. Strength moved through him like a secret current, a private reservoir of power he did not yet fully understand. Later, passing that same road, he saw a swarm of bees had formed a hive in the lion's carcass. Ignoring the laws of purity regarding dead bodies, he scooped out the honey and ate it. From this strange moment, life coming from death, he crafted a riddle for his wedding feast. Out of the eater, something to eat. Out of the strong, something sweet. The wedding feast lasted 7 days. A celebration turned into a standoff. 30 Philistine companions surrounded him like guards. When they could not solve his riddle, they threatened his bride, telling her they would burn her father's house if she did not uncover the answer. Under immense pressure, she wept before Samson the entire 7 days. Finally, worn down by her tears, he told her the secret. She immediately told her people. The companions answered correctly just before sunset on the 7th day, and Samson realized he had been betrayed. Anger flared hot and fierce. He traveled to Ashkelon, struck down 30 men, and took their garments to settle the wager. Violence became his language. His marriage fractured almost immediately, and when he returned later to visit his wife, he learned she had been given to his best man. Retaliation escalated into open warfare. Samson caught 300 foxes, tied their tails together with burning torches, and released them into the standing grain of the Philistines. The fire spread rapidly, consuming the grain, vineyards, and olive groves. It was a strike at their very sustenance. The Philistines responded with brutality, burning his former wife and her father to death. Grief turned to fury. Samson struck them hip and thigh, inflicting heavy losses before retreating to the solitude of the rock of Etam. Fearful of reprisal, 3,000 men of Judah climbed the rock, not to fight alongside him, but to arrest him. They bound Samson with new ropes and handed him over. As the Philistines shouted in triumph, the Spirit of the Lord rushed upon him again. The ropes on his arms became like flax that has caught fire. The bonds melted from his hands. Finding the fresh jawbone of a donkey, he faced the army alone. In a frenzy of divine power, he struck down 1,000 men. Afterward, exhausted and parched, he cried out to God. In a rare moment of vulnerability, he acknowledged dependence. You have granted this great salvation. Shall I now die of thirst? God split open a hollow place, and water flowed. Samson drank and revived. Even here, distinct strength and desperate need stood side by side. Years passed. Samson judged Israel for 20 years, yet his personal battles continued. He visited Gaza and escaped an ambush by tearing up the city gates at midnight, carrying the massive doors to a hilltop facing Hebron. The image was dramatic, one man lifting the symbol of a city's security. His strength seemed limitless, but strength without discipline is fragile. Then came Delilah. We are not told how they met, only that he loved her. The rulers of the Philistines approached her, offering silver for the secret of his strength. She agreed to sell him. Her question came softly, wrapped in intimacy. Tell me what makes you so strong, Samson answered playfully. If anyone ties me with 7 fresh bowstrings, I will become weak. She tested it while he slept. Samson, the Philistines are upon you. He snapped the bowstrings like thread touching fire. She accused him of mocking her. He offered another false answer. New ropes. Again she tested him. Again he broke free. A third time he teased, weave my braids into the loom. She did so. Again he awoke and pulled the loom free. But her persistence did not fade. Day after day she pressed him. The text says his soul was vexed to death. It was a siege of affection. He was strong enough to tear a lion, but not strong enough to silence her voice. Finally, Samson told her everything. No razor has ever been used on my head, he said, because I have been a Nazirite dedicated to God. If my head were shaved, my strength would leave me. It was not magic in his hair. It was the covenant in visible form. By revealing it, Samson surrendered more than information. He surrendered his separation. He surrendered his trust. Delilah lulled him to sleep. A man was summoned. The 7 locks were shaved away. His strength left him. Samson, the Philistines are upon you. He awoke and thought, I will go out as before and shake myself free. But he did not know that the Lord had left him. For the first time, strength did not answer. They seized him. They gouged out his eyes, the eyes that had wandered so often. They bound him in bronze chains and brought him to Gaza. There he ground grain in the prison, moving in circles in the dark, blind and humiliated. The mighty judge was reduced to a laborer. Yet the narrative includes a quiet sentence, heavy with hope. But the hair on his head began to grow again. Time passed. In a grand temple dedicated to Dagon, the Philistine rulers gathered to celebrate. Our God has delivered Samson into our hands, they proclaimed. Thousands filled the temple to mock him. Blind, Samson asked the servant boy guiding him to let him feel the pillars that supported the temple. For the first time in many chapters, he prayed without riddles or pride. Sovereign Lord, remember me. Please strengthen me just once more, and let me with one blow get revenge on the Philistines for my 2 eyes. It was a raw prayer, part justice, part grief, yet it was directed upward. His dependence returned where his self-reliance had failed. In the darkness, he finally saw clearly where his strength truly came from. He placed one hand on the south pillar and the other on the north. Let me die with the Philistines, he said. Then he pushed with all his might. The pillars shifted, stone groaned, the temple collapsed, falling on the rulers and all the people. The text says he killed more in his death than while he lived. His family came and buried him in the tomb of his father. He had judged Israel 20 years. Samson's story is layered with tension. He was chosen before birth, yet often driven by impulse. Empowered by the Spirit, yet entangled in desire. A deliverer who needed deliverance from himself. His strength dazzled crowds, but his weakness shaped his destiny. He defeated armies, yet fell to flattery. He snapped ropes, but could not break the patterns of his own heart. And yet he is remembered not only for failure. In the final moments, stripped of sight and pride, he turned again to God, the boy of promise, the judge of Israel, the prisoner grinding grain, all converged in one act of surrender. Samson's life warns that calling does not cancel character. Gifts do not replace obedience. Power without humility corrodes from within, but it also whispers hope, even after compromise, even after collapse, even after blindness. Hair can grow again. Strength can return when it is rooted once more in dependence. Yet through his turbulent life, God's purpose moved forward. Israel's oppressors were shaken. A cycle of fear was disrupted. The man who once relied on his own muscle ended his life by leaning fully on God's mercy. And in that final push, not of arrogance, but of surrender, his story found its truest strength.